Welcome back, everybody, to the channel. Today, we're going to be looking at new Pittsburgh Steelers defensive lineman Keeanu Benton, second round pick out of Wisconsin. Really excited about this one. I got a bunch of clips cut up from several different games from this past season. Just before we get started, please make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if this type of content is your vibe. Going to be showing you guys, his strengths, weaknesses, and then at the very end of the video, I'll give you guys kind of my outlook on him as a player and how he's going to fit into the Steelers defense. Without further ado, let's get started, man. Just Benton from a build perspective, 6'3", 310 pounds, near 34-inch arms. I mean, a very well built interior defensive lineman and the type of dude that you really want to add to the room. And one of the things I like about Benton, man, is just the hand usage. He has really powerful, but also really quick hands. And you see that, every pass rusher needs a go-to move, and his go-to move is this club swim move. And what I mean by that, he's going to club this guard after he's slanting. So he's slanting to his right. He's going to club this guard on the shoulder, move him out the way, and then use that left arm to swim over or arm over on the way to the quarterback. And one of the things I like about Benton too is even though, he's, a big dude, he has a little bit of bend to him. He can bend through contact. You see a little bit of ankle flexion, able to flatten to the quarterback on his way to another sack there. This is a dude whose sack production increased from, 2 in 2021 to 6 in 2022. So you like to see that type of improvement to go along with his ability to stop the run. And, Benton's really been known, I feel like, more so in the community as like, a run stopping defensive tackle. You can kind of see some of that here. Against zone running plays, I feel like this is where, he's really at his best. He's going to be able to take on this double team right here, keep his linebacker free so he's able to float his gap. And then, at the last minute, split this double team while holding the point of attack at the line of scrimmage, flowing laterally to the football. One of the things about Benton, man, he can really get off the line of scrimmage. It's not consistent as you would want, but, when he times the snap well, he has a pretty good first step. And, you can kind of see that right here, comes off the ball, just explodes out of his stance. Immediately, you'll see him working that club swim again and shoots this gap, and the guard's not able to reach him in time. He almost takes this handoff from the quarterback. Just a really impressive play to make the tackle for loss in the backfield. Here he is lined up over the guard. This is really where I prefer him more so, honestly. I actually like him more as a 2 or 3 tech rather than just like a straight up nose tackle. And I'll kind of explain why later in the video. But again, slanting down the line, going to be matched up with John Michael Schmidt. So this is a guy who is an NFL prospect, taken around the same range that Benton was. Really good player, and he gave him the business a couple times in this game. Right here, he's working, that signature move, that club swim. He gets tripped up a little bit from this guard, but really this should be a hold from Schmitz because he's not engaged right here at all, and he ends up tackling him from behind. Refs miss calls, it happens, but a really good play right there. We don't get a sack, but we do force the incompletion, and pressures are a good indicator of, future success. Again, every pass rusher, man, like you got to have a go-to move. And this is just something that Benton, has a lot of success with. You see those quick hands, swim right over top of the lineman. Another quarterback hit, forces an incompletion. This time working a little outside shoulder of the guard. Again, you just see like his ability to get out of his stance, flow laterally and work his hands and keep him moving, keep himself clean, playing with a good motor. We'll talk a little bit about that later as well. Again, just flowing laterally down the line of scrimmage. That's something I really like about his game. He's got decent range for an interior defensive lineman. Does a good job holding the point of attack right here, not giving up a bunch of ground at the line of scrimmage. Like how he comes to balance, stay square to this running back. That way, it helps him avoid missing this tackle and then bring the guy down for another run stop. Really impressive play on that one. This Nebraska game was really interesting to watch because, I felt like there were times in this game where he was just flat out dominating, both as a pass rusher and a run defender. Like this one, a little bit of a changeup. I thought over the course of the season, his pass rushing toolkit started to kind of expand a little bit. You saw it a little more at the Senior Bowl down in Mobile, but really like this one. He does a good job setting this move up. And what I mean by that is, he's going to threaten the outside shoulder with these first couple steps, and he's going to plant this outside foot in the ground. And then you see the club, but then he's going to rip underneath and bring that inside hand up to his face mask. He's got this, guard oversetting. He's cooked right there. And then again, just getting upfield quickly, bringing the quarterback down, flexing for the camera. It's a really nice rep right there. With Benton as a run block or a run defender, man, he really has some strong hands. When his placement's good and you see him get his hands high and inside on the shoulder pads, he can do some damage for you. And he can hold the point of attack. These one-on-one base blocks for him are nothing. Like his stack and shed ability is one of the better traits in his game, but he's also one of the better players in this class. I felt like with those heavy hands and the ability to just get off of blocks. Now I say that, also with the understanding here that we are lucky to get the back, not really knowing the play call, but I don't really think that's really relevant to, his performance on this play. You see he's playing with good leverage, getting his hands in tight, and then he's just moving this offensive lineman kind of wherever he wants him to go while maintaining gap integrity. So really nice rep there. Something that you see really all over his film is anytime he's singled up, he's going to win those types of reps. We talked about the 34-inch arms and that good proportional length right here. I really like to point these kind of reps out just with that extension, the way that his heavy hands can just kind of jolt offensive linemen. Like watch this offensive lineman's head just snap back on contact, and he's able to recreate that space and kind of create a new line of scrimmage, if you will, by pushing this guy backwards. Even though he is, coming down the line of scrimmage right here, boom, shocks him backwards, and he's able to flow laterally after that to go track down the running back. That's a really, really nice play there against the run. This is something that I don't know where this came from because this is something that I've been begging to see more of from him. So you guys have already seen a bunch of clips with him using his hands. The club move is, really his go-to. But even though he has good proportional length, he doesn't really use his length very well as a pass rusher, in my opinion. But you started to see it a little more as the season went on. But I just really like the leverage here that he's playing with. Look how low he is. He's able to get his helmet underneath the blocker's shoulder pads, playing with excellent leverage, and then he's going to drive through this dude's chest. He's got those hands inside. This offensive guard is like not in a power position at all. This is not where you want to be. He's got him off balance, drives him back into the quarterback to where he's, just moves him off the spot completely, and then we get another incompletion. This Ohio State game was another one, good one to look at. Facing Luke Whippler, another guy who had some top 100 buzz. I think he ended up going day 3 in the NFL draft. But again, you kind of see his ability to just lock out and get that extension, and play multiple gaps in an odd front. Lined up as that zero tech across the center. Does a good job here, just maintaining both of those gaps. This ends up being like a productive play for the offense. But if you notice, like we've only got 5 guys in the box here, and they've got 6 blockers. So really light box here. But does a good job, just trying to maintain this gap, helping make the stop there. This next play really just showcases, I think, just the raw power and raw strength of this dude. He's not even really set for the play here, but you'll see him literally just ragdoll and toss a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. And, that type of power, man, is really special. You like to see that from your interior defensive lineman, the heavy hands. He's flowing laterally here, but he's just going to get up underneath Paris Johnson's pads here and just yank him down to the ground, and then continue flowing to the football and end up getting in on the tackle. I mean, that's really impressive. You'll see him flowing laterally really well. He plays with an excellent motor. I thought this play was a really good example of that motor as well. That's why I wanted to show them in succession. Um, but just being able to string moves together. He comes off here, initially kind of stunted, ends up bowling ball into another offensive lineman here. They're kind of running some type of game up front. But just keeps that motor running on the way to the quarterback, playing hard. That's something that Steelers defensive linemen have always done extremely well in the past, just playing to the whistle. And that's why I always said through the draft process that Benton just looked like a Steeler to me, just because he plays, with that red hot motor, 100 miles an hour on every rep, and that's something that I really appreciate. This was a nice little switch up too. Don't see this very often, but you get a little power pop push pull move. Getting those hands high and inside, and then he's just going to grab the defender's kind of breastplate here and yank him down to the ground almost, and just getting by him pretty effortlessly. There, we get another quarterback hit and an incompletion in the red zone. So you like to see that. Just some things that I would like to see Benton improve on. We'll go through just a couple of clips, and it kind of leads me into my projection or outlook for him as a player. But I think Benton can play really high, and it's a consistent thing over his film. The flashes usually involve him playing with better leverage, but just way too often he's caught playing really high. And this is a play that I thought was a good example. Look at this offensive guard and how low he is, how he's able to easily get underneath Benton's shoulder pads. And basically, he's sacrificing all of his power in his lower body. And that's why he's driven completely out of this play, you know, easily getting displaced because he's playing so high. And that's a consistent thing over and over on his film, is that oftentimes out of his stance, he almost stands straight up. And you'll see him right here against the Buckeyes as well from last season. He's going to be lined up over the center here. This is a goal line situation. You have to get low here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to get low. This is going to be a run up the middle more than likely. And he just gets absolutely blown off the ball. And he never gets low. It's really perplexing to me how often this happens on tape. I don't know if it's just because he's 6'4", um, but he just has a lot of problems, getting low in his stance off the ball. And I think that this really shows up, anytime he's asked to take on double teams, which is particularly problematic if you're asking him to play a lot of true nose tackle. Some defenses are going to require you to take on like multiple blockers, like in those odd fronts, and that's where I think that pad level is going to be problematic for him, because he doesn't really have the ability to even transition to his anchor against those doubles because he's playing so high all the time. And I mentioned like that he was an improving pass rusher, but he's a guy who is laid off the ball a lot. And it was, the flashes were nice, but I thought that, consistently laid off the ball. You can kind of see it a little bit here. This edge rusher, he's already kind of got this foot in the ground, this foot off the ground. He's not off the snap yet. And then he just kind of comes off without a plan sometimes. He's just kind of throwing his hands here. This is not a real move that you see from defensive linemen. I actually like audibly giggled a little bit here at this one. But, sometimes he just comes off the ball and it's like he hasn't really thought about like what he's going to do next, and that's why I think he just spams that club swim move, which is a pretty move. It just, you got to have more to your toolkit. He's still evolving in that area. Only 21 years old. So, hopefully we'll get there. And this is just kind of another one here. I mentioned, the fact that he consistently plays high, but even when he plays low, like you can see him kind of getting low in his stance here. This back foot, he constantly does have a issue taking on double teams to where he can't like quickly transition to that anchor and just drop the anchor right there and hold the point of attack. When he gets in one-on-one situations, like he's a very difficult dude to block. He can stack and shed with the best of them. It's just when you get double teams on him, there are times where he just loses ground because of that lower body strength. That functional mass just isn't really where you want it to be at times, especially, and it just pops up when you get double teams like this. but kind of driven out of his gap a little bit there. Not a overly problematic play by any means, but I think it showed up. Kind of explained his anchor issues more or less. But if you guys made it through the video, appreciate you guys. Please make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. I apologize for the delay on this video and the lack of content the past couple of days. I've been a little bit under the weather, so still recovering. But we got one more draft video to hit. Spencer Anderson. That'll be the next video that'll get popped up on the channel. I will holler at you guys next time. Peace.